we're here tonight because we have received a grant to build a pocket park, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and show a slideshow about what all that means. And we really need community input. Okay, can everybody see that? I hope. This is the first community input session for the Pocket Park at Jeffersonville Township Public Library. And I'm going to switch to, change that just a little bit. There we go. What's going on is that the Community Foundation of Southern Indiana has awarded Jeffersonville Township Public Library a grant to make our space more usable to the public. And this, terrible typo, this $80,000 grant will pay for the initial construction of a pocket park. What is a pocket park? It's probably not a familiar term to everyone, but basically it's a very small park. By definition, they have to be less than 1/4 of an acre. It is usually placed on a repurposed lot in an urban setting, and most pocket parks are very community driven with features that appeal to people who live or work nearby. So it's very important if you're building a pocket park that you find out what people want. If you're only going to have 1/4 of an acre or less, and we have less to work with, then you need to make sure that people are on board with what you're doing and like it. So we're hoping that the community will give us their input. So what plans do we have? Well, the pocket park will encompass Jeffersonville Library's porches and the lawn on the Court Avenue side of the building. Part of that will be fenced, and part of it will just have some features that will bring people, we hope, together to learn and play. There'll be a fenced area on the Court Avenue side, so we can keep kids safe. If the parents want to sit down for a minute and not have to chase them, they don't have to worry about them running out in the road if the area is fenced. There should be plenty of seating when we get done. We are going to try to make all features wheelchair accessible, and add features for people with intellectual differences. And when we say that, we're talking about children who are dealing with autism or attention deficit disorder, children who haven't learned to talk yet, adults with those sorts of differences as well, adults with autism. There are quite a few things we can do for those folks that will make a park space more appealing to families that include people who are a little, who think differently, basically, than what is considered, they say neurotypical is the term. We'd like to make sure that there's Wi-Fi everywhere in the park. So if someone wants to sit there and do homework or have a meeting in a safe space that's outdoors, they can. We want to put in a story walk, and a story walk, for those who are not familiar, is a bunch of panels into which you can insert paper, and we would insert all the pages of a book so that someone could walk along and read the book. Of course, it would be a simple book, something really short. Usually the story walk is done with a children's book of under 20 pages. And we'd like for there to be a highly visible, safe space to play and learn. We also want to cut down the bushes so that they're low enough that there are no places to hide or do anything inappropriate in the park, and regrade the lawn so that it's safer to walk on, and just generally do anything we can to make it safe. The area encompassed by the park would include the green space that is seen in the first slide to the left, and the porch that's seen in the slide to the right, and the green area alongside that porch. The fenced area would be just the area to the left. And what input do we need from the community? Well, we need help choosing a theme, help choosing features, and ideas that we can incorporate now or in the future. I can't say that we'll be able to do everything that we want to do this year, but we're going to do as much as we can. And we'd like to have ideas that we can take into the future. And we have several potential themes. I'll just run quickly through those, and then we'll take a minute to look at them more deeply. The prehistory of Clark County. Clark County before Indiana statehood. A river runs past it, or Jeffersonville's railroad. So prehistory would encompass things like fossils and giant sloths and mastodons that were here in past eras. And I could see some of the artwork that will be included in the park showing a mastodon right on the front of our building or something like that. I think kids might like that. Early history would include things like Native Americans that were here when the historical period started. The early explorers, that's Lewis and Clark and York and Sacagawea, and the dog's name escapes me right now. But they're in the corner in the statues. The early log cabin settlements, the early forts, and I could see maybe a fort-like play structure or something along those lines in that kind of environment. It might also include the early African American settlement that was near here. Another possibility is Jeff Railroad. Jeffersonville's railroad switching station was right under what is now the library. So this was the railroad yard, and I'm practically sitting on top of the ticketing office right now. You can see it in old maps, and I could see those old maps. I could see artwork representing trains. I would like some artwork representing Obadiah Buckner, who was an African-American man who fought for the right for Blacks in Indiana to ride the rail. He was challenged because he didn't have freedom papers. He was not allowed to board a train here at Jeffersonville, right? It just never gets old thinking that he was right where I am sitting right now, right under my desk when he started this challenge. And he took it all the way to the Indiana Supreme Court. And I'd like to, honor him in some way if we were to choose Jeff Railroad. And then Ohio River memories. The steamboats and flatboats and canoes that went up and down this river when it was the nation's highway from the East Coast to the Midwest, and then intersected with the Mississippi and took people all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico. Those days were amazing, and there were all kinds of pieces of history we could bring in. And this area was sustained in part by the mussel industry. And you'll see there's a mussel up there with the buttons cut out. The button industry and the pearl industry both stem from the mussels, plus they were edible. So that was all a big part of this area's history that is almost forgotten. Plus, this was this river, the Ohio, was the dividing line between North and South, and there was a very active local underground railroad made up of Black people who worked on the river and helped people escape slavery. So we could talk about the Underground Railroad with both the railroad and the Ohio River, either one. The Underground Railroad was really active in Jeffersonville. Guidance for features. Well, there are some things we promised in the grant. To get a grant, you have to make a promise to the organization giving you the money that you will do certain things. So we promised that there would be small play structures that will appeal to many types of people. There would be safety features, there would be other amenities, and there would be a few showstoppers, some things that were kind of really cool, like some artwork. Do you have any ideas? We're interested in all of your ideas. We have a limited budget, but we'll do as much as we can with the current funds. And we plan to keep the park for a long time with regular upgrades. If we can't do something now, we'll look for a way to do it later. So keep ideas coming. And so we'd like to ask, if you want to unmute and talk, you're welcome to, but do you have any ideas for features or just ideas in general for the park? And what's your great hope for the park? And I hate to put you on the spot, Cindy, but.
Well, this is the first I've heard of it. So it's good. I like the idea. I like the idea of the Jeff Railroad. I think it's very good, especially since you told the history of it and the library being on top of the railroad. That's very interesting. And the story walk is good. It's a good idea. For right now, that's all I have, but I can get back with you on more ideas.
Okay, well, I'm gonna move on to the last slide then. There's a survey link on this last slide, and I'll copy this link into the chat. I'm going to have to copy it from elsewhere, but you can add your own ideas to the survey, and then there's some questions that are just check which one you like. And if there are comments or questions, please call me at 812-285-5641. And I'd be glad to hear what you have to say. And I'd be glad to answer anything I can answer or refer it to the person who knows what's going on. So let me stop screen sharing so I can put those things in the chat.